has Scrappy's impacted your life?
Like 100%. I think about sometimes, like, if I hadn't come to that first show here, I wouldn't know any of the people I know. I wouldn't have the job I have right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know about anything going on with the government, at least in our state, because I'm so involved in that now. I think I'd be completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Tucson, Arizona doesn't have a lot of youth programs running that are as interesting as what Scrappy's has to offer. Scrappy's has everything from punk rock to hip hop, and that's pretty much covering everything in between also. We have artists.
You know, it's the first place where I felt like I could create something and show it, I guess. You know, that's where I came out of my shell.
We have musicians, we have singers, we have dancers, we have pretty much anything, you name it.
They can feel welcomed and a sense of belonging, and the fact that they may be different from the common outlook on society of what people should be, and they're not quite like that. So Scrappy's kind of serves a big part to those type of youth where they need a sense of belonging, and this is the perfect place for them for that.
Okay.
And it's truly my pleasure this afternoon to talk to you about Scrappy's and the work they do. Scrappy's is a youth-led, youth-run youth organization where young people are empowered to make decisions about the kinds of issues they wish to address. Scrappy's and the B-Boys work on social justice issues and issues of civic engagement. We all do. And so one of the things that is part of the project here for civic engagement is learning how to deal with that. So what did the kids in the book do? They band together to create change, which is what we do. It's why, I like this book. I think it's a really nice way to talk about what young people can do by banding together. I also like this book because it talks about the fact that you don't have to look like the mainstream to make a change. The change comes from people who are willing to take the risk and figure out what needs to happen to make it work.
I think the only thing that's changed about Scrappy since I started coming is, I don't know if it's how it was 5 years ago and I just wasn't aware, but it seems like we're a lot more involved in the community, like going to governor's task force meetings and going to City Hall, and I've just noticed a lot more of that recently.
We have coming to Scrappy's. Scrappy's is a very diverse community. It's great that we're given this chance to actually come and dance at Scrappy's, because doing what we do, we're looked at more as a liability than we are artists.
You know, it's one thing when fear or discrimination is based on...
People think, oh, you're a breakdancer, you spin on your head, so you must, break your neck.
something real, I guess. It's another thing when it's just perceptions.
I haven't seen the people who are complaining, and it's just funny to me how, people say, like I was talking to my aunt the other day, and she was just like, well, yeah, isn't that place, like, aren't there just a bunch of, like, drug addicts there? And it's funny because it's just, there's so much rumor, and I mean, I guess it would come with the assumption that it's a youth venue, so I mean, it's a venue with youth. There are gonna be a whole bunch of, like, fuck-ups there. And I don't know, I think that, I forgot the question.
What we're trying to do here with the breakdancing, the b-boying, is show positive aspects of, our culture. Hip-hop being, the most diverse culture that is out there today for these young kids, and it's the most appealing, obviously, as you see on TV with rap and then the breakdancing and commercials.
It's really been like a second family, and that there's so many people here that if you have problems too, you can go to. And I know there's been so many instances in my life where I've, called Kathy weeping and just, had her just be like, "God, calm down, I'm coming."
Do you feel like people support you emotionally?
Yeah, Kathy's been like a surrogate mom to me. Like, I mean, I remember times when we were really poor and we'd like come home and Kathy would have left this giant bowl of like vegan chili mac on the table for us. So like, this has always been where I come back to, This is my family.
I don't know, just the impact of having a place that's not negative that's so uplifting in nature, and that it's so so different, that you don't have to fall into a stereotype of, you know, you're either a cheerleader or you're a geek and you're not going to have any friends. And it's just, it was funny because in high school I didn't have that many friends, but then I would come here and I would have my family and I would have so many people to support me. And just learning so young that you don't have to fall into one of these categories that society's just put out, and instead you can be your own person and you can express yourself artistically, and you know, you can not give in to just the pressures that teenagers put out. Is just it's a really good impact that Skrappy's has on the youth.
Skrappy's has really shown me a door into controlling my anger in a way, and I think that's the main thing that Skrappy's has helped me with, is just keeping me in check. I've matured a lot since I've been here. I've been more open to new ideas. I'm more open-minded about different lifestyles, different cultures. And I think that's the very important thing about Skrappy's, with what it's done to me, is it's opened my mind a lot more. So.
It's funny because I've never been to a venue where a homeless guy can come up and be like, hey, do you guys have socks? And someone run in and give him something. And it's an awesome thing to be a part of. Just a place that isn't just here for money, just isn't here to promote, you know, do what you want and be an individual and have your music and here it is, and then go home and get on with your lives. That Skrappy's is not just a venue, but it's part of people's lives that come here, and it shows through just how they serve the community and what they do.
Why do you think that that this club is different from other clubs?
Because the kids don't just come to the shows, they don't just pay their money to see a show, they're part of it. You know, everybody knows that if Skrappy's gets shut down, they don't have any place else. I mean, there's been little venues that have come and gone, but Skrappy's is where they belong, and so the kids really keep it going.
Well, hi, how's it going? We're back again. And still don't have any good news for you. We looked at a couple places.
Skrappy's to me is something beautiful, something that, you know, gathers, you know, all communities, whatever race, creed, or color you are. I mean, we have a lot of the kids that come to Skrappy's are underprivileged, you know, ghetto children. They're from, you know, communities and neighborhoods around town that are, you know, not considered the best, and their parents aren't the wealthiest. But we come here and we teach these kids for free and teach them how to break dance as a prevention plan to get them off the streets and get them into doing something positive with their time rather than doing something negative.
We had a show today for
Where was the show at?
At the
LULAC conference?
Yeah.
And were you guys getting paid for this?
No, we did it for the community. We did it for, you know, how we were saying, like, you know, that's what we do. You know, cop goes, grabs Nate, goes, handcuffs him, whatever, puts him in the car, and then we were like, damn, dude.
Well, first they were being really like ruthless. They were like pushing Nate. They told him like to get on the photo.
Like, yeah, they were being really rude, really rude.
What?
Nate got up because one of
They
the officers asked for his name. The officer was over there. He gets up and he says, Nathan Camacho. You know, they tell him, you need to sit down, all this stuff. The officer pushes him down and he goes, you're being really rude right now. Can you please not do that? He sits down and they're giving him so much shit. I'm like, I can't believe this is going on.
Nate said you're being really rude?
Yeah, you're being really rude. Well, you know, he was being cooperative. You know, we couldn't have been any better. We couldn't have cooperated any better.
Yeah.
You know, and they ended up arresting him. They ended up arresting my man Thies. Up to me, it's really pathetic. You know how we try to, like, you know,
it's ridiculous.
Support our community. You know,
I got arrested. I was handcuffed, whatever. I went to juvie. You know, like for dancing.
Yes.
She called the cops.
They come storming down what is that, down that street. We thought it was just like an ambulance, you know, but they all like marched towards us and
They had sirens on?
they had their sirens off from way out there, coming towards us. I mean, what's the deal?
But the reality is that there's a reason that you want a building or a place to be. And in this, as Deletta just said, in this particular project, and I'll walk you through kind of how we did this, after a lot of work, we discovered, or the Scrappy's youth discovered, that really what they were trying to map was the importance of youth downtown and the importance of downtown to youth, those two issues. And they wanted to map it because they wanted a way to communicate that to the decision makers, to those that were actually pushing Scrappy's out, but also those that were redeveloping downtown without youth in mind, essentially.